Hello. Today's episode starts with me feeding the cows. The next day I found a 32,000-liter slurry tanker among the used vehicles. After a quick paint job and minor modifications, I bought it for 70,000 euros. I can see that you enjoy my story, so please write in the comments what kind of story you would like to hear from me. A lot has happened to me in my life, so you can write anything, because I'm sure I have something to tell about it. I forgot to get the trailer fixed while I was in the shop. Fortunately, I have a workshop so I don't have to go back. I can fix it myself. The purchase of materials for the repair was 2,500 euros. And if I was already so involved in the work, I also repaired the tractor. It's not a big deal. I replaced the timing belt because it was loose, and I also changed the oil. That was 600 euros. After loading the slurry into the storage tank, I returned with the tanker to the cow shed. To be honest, I only have this tanker to transport the slurry to the storage, but if I buy an accessory, I could also fertilize with it. However, it is not worth fertilizing such a large field with it, because it runs out very quickly, and I would need a lot of slurry to fertilize this field. But if you buy pigs and you can plant crops in such a way that you can feed the pigs with that crop, or you buy the pig food but it's expensive, then they will give you a lot of slurry. Thus, it is worth fertilizing with it, because pigs produce an almost infinite amount of slurry. If you have enough pigs. A total of 56,000 liters of slurry has now accumulated, but I emptied it for the first time since I had the cows. After all this, their appetite increased, now that the shed was clean. So I quickly gave them as much TMR as I could. I remembered that I don't have a pressure washer in the back shed yet, so I invested in one. I also bought one next to the new big shed. I like to have a washer in several places, so that after I park the vehicles in their own place, I can clean them, and I don't have to take everything one by one to the only washer I have. Then I invested in 2 weather stations, because it improves the weather forecast available to my farm. Then I bought a large 25,000-liter petrol tank. That way I didn't have to always go to the shop to refill. And finally, I finished building the fence. A little decoration never hurts. When I finished the construction, I bought 25,000 liters of diesel for the petrol tank for 103,000 euros. And all the money I had is gone again. It was June, and if you remember, soybeans can be sold at the best price in this month. So it was time to get back some of the money I spent. In the store, I started the transfer from the trailer to the storage while they measured the quantity. Now I managed to bring 44,000 liters of soybeans, which, by the way, is quite a lot. They paid me a total of 151,897 euros. You see, that's why it's worth creating as large fields as possible. Meanwhile, the milk tanker was fortunately full. So I attached it to the tractor and went back to the shop. At the store, they were very happy that I went because they said that they were running out of milk. They paid me almost 59,000 euros, but remember, this is a new and much larger milk tanker than what I had before. Now it was time to go home and sleep. I had nothing to do until September, so I just rested. But then I built a nice new shed, and I also put down a sheep shed next to it. It was 97,000 euros, but I don't have to give them just hay and grass. But it is enough if they only get one of it. So I can handle their feeding for free, since I can cut grass for them. I also concreted the road to the sheds and made an entrance to the grassy area. If the sheep are well kept, they give a lot of wool. You can sell the wool or use it. If you build a spinnery, you can bring in the wool or cotton and the workers will make fabric from it. You can either sell the fabric or build a tailor shop and bring the fabric there. The employees of the tailor shop can make clothes from the fabric and sell them for very good money. And what cannot be left out? Yes, the fence. I decorated the part of the fence next to the sheep shed a little. I planted some flowers and bought some decorative rocks. I also planted a nice tree to provide more shade on the farm. I like it when there are trees and plants on the farm because it makes me feel much better. But I don't tend to exaggerate because I don't like the jungle. Just a few plants here and there, like a small garden, and it's ready. I immediately bought 22 Steinchef. I also bought 22 Swiss Black Brown Mountains and another 10 Black Welsh Mountains. The remaining 11 sheep were of the Landrance of Bentheim breed. So there were all kinds of sheep. Fortunately, they were able to eat grass in the garden, but I had to fill their feeders. Since the sheep and cows also need it, I bought 16 large bales of hay. I also bought 8 large bales of straw. I quickly went back to the shop to get the bales. I hope there will be enough food for the animals for a while now. As soon as I got back to the farm, I quickly gave them hay. Now they are not hungry. However, I bought another 16 bales of hay because from now on, it will run out quickly. And I also bought 8 straw bales. Soybeans could be harvested the next day, so I decided to replace my harvester again. I saw a 15,000-liter Colossus harvester in the store for 300,000 euros, which was quite promising for me because it was upgradable to 1,250,000 liter. With the 3050 horsepower version, it can go 200 km per hour. Unbelievable but true. After minor changes and a new paint job, I bought it for 400,000 euros. I also bought an almost 14-meter header for 88,000 euros. It was time to bring it home. Since the harvester that I bought earlier not only went at 200 km per hour, but also harvested so quickly, I sold it and bought this John Deere harvester from its price. The parameters are almost the same, only this does not work at 200 km per hour. That speed is very good if you have a gigafarm, but it was too much for here. While Jack worked, I checked the sheep. They had a great time. So the sheep could be sheared and I already had wool for sale. Since Jack was still working, I decided to take advantage of the time and went to mow the lawn. It never hurts to have enough silage for the cows, as milk is still a very good source of income. And I was starting to run out of silage anyway. Then I started plowing the field so that it would be ready for the next season and I would just have to plant. You must have asked yourself why I always plow. Because if you cultivate the field, you need a weeder or you have to spray the field with herbicide because the weeds are growing. But if you plow, weeds don't grow, and you don't need a weeder or herbicide. And since it takes the same amount of time to plow the field as to cultivate it, I prefer to plow and save money on tools and herbicides. In order to earn as much money as possible from the sale of crops, I expanded the field. If I have a land, I like to make the most of it. I used to create huge fields. It's true that now I only have income from harvesting once a year, but when I do, it's a lot.
Messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way?
It took me a long time to create the new part, but I took the time because it's worth it. I still had to fertilize the entire field and then it will be ready for the next season. On the same day, I wanted to collect the silage bales from the ground to ferment on the trailer, and to be in one place. When I was done with this task, I parked the trailer in its usual place. The grassy area next to the cow shed bothered me, so I concreted that part. Somehow I saw it as much more aesthetic. If only because one of the trailers always parked there. Although I didn't have much money at all, I planted 2 trees to compensate for the missing grass, and so that the cows have more shade in the summer heat. I also bought a decorative stone, but then I changed my mind and sold it because I didn't like it at all. So I planted a couple of bushes instead. That's all I fit into this episode. Thanks for being here. I will wait for you in the next part.